In this video, I want to show you how to find the best staking plan for your betting system by using the staking machine, which is the best staking analysis software available. Do you want to know the best staking plan for your betting system? Do you want to know the drawdowns and other key characteristics of your bet history? With the staking machine, you can import your bet data and apply staking plans instantly. It has 48 staking plans, 28 back staking plans, 18 lay staking plans, and 2 each way staking plans. There are a lot of famous names in there. On the back side, the ones I always recommend testing your bet data with are level stakes, Whitaker staking, secure staking, target profit staking, and percentage staking. Those are really solid, dependable staking plans that you should always test your bet data against. But it has a lot of other staking plans in there, including some quite recent ones that are becoming more popular, such as the 6-point divisor bet system, which is gaining popularity, and Bookies Bank and Bookies Bank version 2. They're very interesting staking plans as well. There's also famous names like Kelly and Fibonacci in there as well. And the staking plan software is just really amazing because after you've imported your data, you can just straight away see how all the different staking plans affect it. So for example, this is a set of data from 2024, has 4,900 bets in it, about 5,000 bets worth of data. And instantly I can see in a graph format how different staking systems have progressed along the way. At the moment, it looks like the Labouchere, which is a kind of a progressive staking system that I'm not a big fan of, but this one has made the most money. And you can remove staking plans and get rid of ones you don't want to see if you want to just view other staking plans as well. And it has lots of other graphs that can be useful to look at, like seeing the winning and losing sequences of your data, seeing the odds frequency, like what kind of odds is your system usually getting, and you can see all the odds and also the winning odds. For example, here, this system mostly bets between the 2.5 and 3.5 range, and most of the winning bets coming in the 3 to 3.5 range. And you can also see your edge, your yield, ROI by different odds ranges here. And this is a really good way to find out, oh, higher odds don't work for me. And you can check back and see how many higher odds do I have. So odds over 6 are not really working out for me. Do I have lots of odds over 6? Not that many. We can see how many bets I'm getting over that odds range. And the odds range, you can also change it for different odds brackets as well. So you can see on lower levels as well that getting a lot of yield in the 1.6 to 1.8 range, but not so much on lower odds levels. So that would make me go back and look at my betting systems and consider cutting out maybe the lower levels and sticking with the higher levels, maybe trying to analyze why the 50-50 odds around this range are not doing so well. And you can have a look at them in lots of different ranges. And this is a really good way, especially when you're filtering different odds ranges on Betaminic, or you're trying to restrict odds ranges and trying to find out which ones are making you the most profit. So, and then you'll see which ones are working out best for you. You can see the cumulative drawdown of different staking plans. And this gives you an idea of not just the biggest drawdown, but how often large drawdowns come for the different staking plans. And it gives you a very good visual idea of what your betting system looks like. And there's a really good graph at the end here that's called the moving strike rate, which is basically talking about your win rate. And so often with a betting system, the more bets we have, basically we will get to an average win rate, and the average win rate of this data is about 40%. And so we're thinking we should be winning 40% of the time. We should be getting a win rate of 40%. And then when we have a really bad run, we think, oh, it's broken, it's not working anymore. Or if we have a really good run, we think it's working really well, I'm going to increase my stakes. And then when we have a bad run and people say, oh, it's just negative volatility, we think, well, that's a cop-out, that's a terrible excuse. But this graph, you can see what the strike rate, it shows you the strike rate for the last 100 bets. So for example, at this point when we've had 2,147 bets, the last 100 bets here had a win rate of 52%, around there, 54%. Whereas over here, the last 100 bets had a win rate of just 28%. And that's the last 100 bets. And if we look at the strike rate of last 50 bets, we'll have had some times where we've had win rates of 64% from the last 50 bets. And times when we've had win rates of just 18% from the last 50 bets. And often that's when someone would give up. If they've just had a win rate of 18% and they're looking for 40%, they're expecting 40%, you might give up there. But if we tack on what the level stakes profit is here, we can see that, well, these strategies work. They've gradually gone up and they've made 238 units of profit after about 5,000 bets. And giving up, if you join at the wrong moment and your first 50 bets, 100 bets are a really low win rate and you're just making losses, you might give up. And if we look at just 20 bets, there's some really awful runs. 10% win rate, 5% win rate. I mean, these are probably moments when people might give up. And by looking at this moving strike rate graph, you get a really good image of the volatility that systems have. I like looking at the last 50 bets. I think that's a good rate. I think some people won't go to 100 bets if they're having a really bad losing run. And some people, if they just start with a system and it has a good winning rate, they'll be too aggressive and increase their stakes, and then they'll hit negative volatility and they'll want to give up. So this is a really good way of seeing, wow, there's a lot of times when the average win rate is below the average for this betting system. And it's just another example of how if you stick long term with a properly researched system, then you can make profit. And don't give up when you have short term losing runs. This is the negative variance that we talk about and say, well, it's just a bad run, it's just unlucky. Well, it's just statistics and probability. But the longer you stick in there, like if you're just looking at the win rates of the last 100 bets, then it becomes a narrower range. And this is a really good example of the volatility of your betting system. So if you have a betting system that's all over the place, then you just have to accept it if you want to work with that, if you want to work with that system. So I really like this graph. This has been added in the past few years on TSM. This is a really great graph, I think, to look at. And this data, these 5,000 bets, these are real bets from a system. They're not back-tested bets. They're real bets from 23 strategies from the Betaminic website. On my website, thebettingsystemsguide.com, back in January, I picked out 23 strategies that I recommended for 2025. So I picked out 23 strategies to use in 2025, and I tested them in my own Excel file to try and see what kind of profit they got in 2024 with Whitaker staking. But now, thankfully, the staking machine has Whitaker staking, and I could put that data into proper staking analysis software and see how it worked out. So with the staking machine, you can apply all these different staking plans, and if you have lay system data, you can apply the lay staking plans. They are going to add Whitaker lay staking over the next few weeks, possibly next month. At the moment, just the back version is in there. And the staking machine, you can import your bet data and apply staking plans. You can import data from spreadsheets. So if you're keeping track of your own bets, if you save it as a CSV file, you can import it into TSM. You can import data from external databases like backtesting places like Betaminic. You can import data from betting software like BFBot Manager if you're doing automated betting. And you can import data from tipster sites like Tipping Sports. And you can just get that data and put it into the staking machine and get an instant idea of what staking plans work best for that betting system. And like I just quickly showed you before, there are tables that you can rank. So in TSM, you can click on Analysis Comparison, and you can rank strategies by different columns. I have edited the different staking plans to levels that I think are reasonably conservative and won't go bankrupt. And I can sort them and find out which staking plans have worked best. And I can see the lowest trough, like how low did the bank go whilst it was following that staking plan. And I can see what the largest and smallest stakes were. So I know Square Root is a progressive staking plan, and it's its smallest stake was 1 unit, but at some point its stake was 93 units. That's really quite large there. The second rank one, Labouchere, it's made 2,000 units profit. And we compare this to level stakes. Level stakes made 234 units of profit. So Square Root has really improved on that, but we're seeing very large stakes at some point. And its lowest trough was about 70 points, so 70% of its starting bank. And you can see the different staking plans rank like that. And the tables can show you that key data and show you if they achieved all that without going bankrupt. And there are customizable graphs. You can see winning and losing sequences. You can see odds frequency, winning odds and all odds together. You can see your edge broken down by custom odds ranges. You can see the drawdowns for each staking plan and this really good volatility graph, the moving strike rate graph. I really like this one. This is a great one to look at with your betting data. And once you've ranked the staking plans and found some staking plans you're interested in, you can apply advanced methods to double check if this is really going to work long term or if it was just luck. Because sometimes progressive staking plans with recovery staking plans, the luck of the fixture list really affects whether you went bankrupt or not. And if it was a different fixture list, if games or races had happened at different times, you could have actually gone bankrupt. And so what we can do is use Monte Carlo simulations, which shuffle the order of the bets. It doesn't change the results, but it shuffles the order of the bets so that if the fixture list had been different, would you have still made profit without going bankrupt from your starting plan? So this is one of the really, really useful things about the staking machine, is that you can do these Monte Carlo simulations. And you go here and you can choose how many you want to do, from just 1,000 to 100,000. And this could take a really long time if you choose a lot. And if you choose like a small number, just 100, it doesn't take that long at all. And that's shuffling the results, the order of the bets 100 times. But I would really recommend a minimum of 1,000 shuffles, really. I think 100's not that many. If you have the time, then 5,000 shuffles or 10,000 shuffles, that's really good. And if you're playing with large amounts of money, then go ahead and shuffle it 50,000 or 75,000 times. Depending how powerful your computer is how long it will take to run those simulations. And TSM has a lot of cool features, like you can have multiple instances of TSM running. And when I wrote my staking plans book, I did all my tests in the staking machine, and I would run thousands of simulations and shuffles. So I would have multiple instances of TSM going, and I would run those simulations at the same time. And so here with just 1,000 simulations, we start to see more bankrupt simulations coming up. And what that means is that with the previous data, when we just took the data in the order we received it, some of it was just lucky from the fixture list. And now we start to see which staking plans are a bit more reliable. And again, yeah, level stakes, not going bankrupt there. And we see with 1,000 shuffles, the average profit it made, 235. And we compare that with the actual total we got. Doesn't mean so much with level stakes because everything's on the same bet. But if we go back to the Labouchere, we can see our average total 2,634 and actual total 2,640. Well, that's kind of similar there. And we can see the lowest trough in those 1,000 simulations was minus 1,200. And bear in mind, we're starting with a 100 unit bank. So the bank needed refilling 12 times on its journey to a high level of profit, but it needed a lot of refilling there. And the average lowest trough it had was minus 116. So it was a very lucky run that got it just a minus 30 points. Whereas on its average level, it's going to go bankrupt on average. 71% of the time, this is going to go bankrupt, which is why I wouldn't use Labouchere. Not a big fan of it. It's a progressive one. And there are very cool graphs as well that show that with these 1,000 shuffles, how many times we're getting what profit level. For example, 58 of the shuffles, we got 2,700 points. But in one of the shuffles, we just got 1,370. And in one of the shuffles, we got 3,674 units of profit. So it shows you how likely you are to get those totals if you did stick through it, like if you were prepared to completely, refill your bank several times if worst came to worst. But then if you want to stick with something that's never gone bankrupt and has some decent profit, so we can see here, betting a percentage bank, betting 1% each time, that makes double the profit of level stakes, and it doesn't go bankrupt. It has a lowest trough that's much better than the level stakes lowest trough, which was 2. The lowest trough for percentage was 33, and the average lowest trough was 83. So that it shows, percentage is really good. And we see the average profit levels we get is very nicely grouped together. So percentage, we know percentage is a good staking plan, and that's a good one to use. Whitaker staking in this case didn't improve compared to percentage staking, but percentage staking bets more as the bank goes up. This version of Whitaker staking I set here is on fixed odds. It doesn't increase. It stakes as the bank gets bigger. It bases everything on the initial stake. And in that sense, it beat level stakes because I view Whitaker staking as smart level stakes. If you change this to a percentage version of Whitaker stakes, it would probably give percentage staking a good run for its money and could even beat it. That would need another analysis there. But again, we see its average lowest trough and we see its worst lowest trough in those 1,000 simulations. And we can see one time it went bankrupt. And it gets the same profit result in the end because it's a form of smart level stakes. And this one time went bankrupt, even though the lowest trough isn't a minus, it means that the bank got down to 0.7 units out of 100. And the stake it needed for its next bet, maybe if the stake was 1 unit, that would take it under 0 and make it a minus. And that's why this is counted as one bankrupt simulation, because by placing the stake to make the next bet when the bank is at this level, it went briefly into the negative there. So it just survived there with 1,000 shuffles. Fixed staking, that's basically target profit staking, and this is percentage target profit staking, and that survived as well. That made some decent profit. So when you do have data, then it's good to have a look at the different staking plans available and see which one doesn't go bankrupt and improves on level stakes. That's what you're looking for, really. So that's one thing we can do. Once you've got your data in there and you've found the staking plans that you're interested in, run Monte Carlo simulations and see will it last with a different fixture list, because in the next year coming up, even if the strategy keeps its trend, keeps its yield, if you get a different fixture list, maybe it might go bankrupt just through a bad luck of having too many losses in a row or something. So that's what's really good about a Monte Carlo simulation. And we can improve on this as well. So we can apply even more advanced methods to triple check this. I do this by adding profit-taking settings. What profit-taking settings do is that I tell it that every time the starting bank of 100 reaches 200, so every time it doubles its bank, every time it's made 100 units profit, I want it to take out 100 units. So I want it to reset the bank. So each time it doubles the bank, I want it to reset the bank. And the reason I do this is when we have 5,000 bets, if we have a good run at the start, it doesn't matter how many bad runs we have later on, we're going to stay in profit and it's going to look like this strategy never goes bankrupt. Whereas really what often happens is if we're doing well, we'll increase stakes and we'll increase stakes and we'll increase stakes. And when you increase stakes, it's as good as starting again. And if we double our stakes and then have a losing run, we're going to go into an overall minus. So what I want to know is, if I started at any random spot, and particularly after a good run of that's doubled the bank, if I enter at that point, what are the chances of going bankrupt? That's what I want as well. So that's why I add in profit taking. And then you can see there's some drops here. Each time it's doubled its bank, and we can see a mark here will tell us when it's doubled its bank. There it is. Okay, so when the bank here, 196 units of profit, it wins the next one to go to 200 points, and then it withdraws 100 units and it's back. It resets the bank. So each of these drops is a reset in the bank. Once we do that, we have a look again and we see, oh, a lot more bankruptcy. So previously, without profit taking, just even with the data we have, there was no bankruptcy. You know, everything was going fine because it was probably a good start, good run of results at the beginning. But once I add in profit taking that resets it each time it doubles its bank, then we see here there's a lot more bankruptcy here. Again, with Labouchere, a lot of these progressive ones, they're going bankrupt. And then when I rank them by profit, we see square root is actually the new favorite. With largest single stake of 10, lowest stake of 1. It's made profit of 449 points, which is better than level stakes, which is 234, so it's double the profit there. And we can see its lowest trough was just 40. So that's even restarting it. So if the profit was 449, that means it made 100 points profit 4 times, and it was restarted 4 times. And these 49 points is the current profit it's in now. So that's how I use profit taking to reset it. And secure staking, that is, I've set this up to be target profit staking. This is target profit staking with no percentage. Fixed is target profit staking that is with a percentage, so it's connected to the current bank. Secure is target profit staking unconnected to the bank. But you see with target profit staking, when you have really low odds, it places a massive bet, and that can be a bit dangerous sometimes. But we see this one, or lowest trough of 23 points, and it made decent profit. But you know, with target profit, sometimes there are some really high stakes. So you know, square root is looking interesting there. And once you've added in that profit taking, again, you're going to want to do Monte Carlo tests on that, simulations of that, to shuffle that. And so we shuffle the fixture list again to see if we're using this restart every time you double your bank, every time you've had a really good run that's doubled the bank, and we reset the bank. And that reset point could be us withdrawing profit, or that could be us doubling our stakes and letting the profit ride. But basically, we want to know every time we have a really good run where we double the bank, what happens next, you know, if we reset the bank. And then we start to see a lot more bankruptcy there. So there's a lot more bankruptcy going on here, particularly from the progressive ones. And wow, even target profit staking goes bankrupt 50% of the time. But that's with the settings I've given it. Here it's trying to get 2% profit, I think, is what I've set it to. Again, percentage is doing well there. It's improved on level stakes, and even level stakes is going bankrupt 6 times. So if it has an unlucky run with lots and lots of losses in a short space of time, then it does go bankrupt. But it only went to -24, so that would only need 1 refill of your bank. And it's really good. That's what the really good thing about TSM, the staking machine, is you can see, like, if you took your betting system last year and had run it with different staking plans, and like if you're looking at a big juicy profit, how many times would you have needed to refill your bank? Like, if you're okay with risk, like if you have a bad run, I'll just refill it. With Labouchere, you're going to have to refill it 17 times to reach that profit level. But with level stakes, you would have only had to refill it once. With Whitaker staking, it's also needed a refill once there. But these Whitaker stakings were done with an ELS of 5 and a bet number of 1,000, and we have 5,000 bets here. So that's why that didn't work. I should probably change the settings on that to 5,000. What else do we have? Where's that? Square root. Square root has gone bankrupt as well. So that square root was looking good for us before, but in 3% of the occasion it's gone bankrupt. But it would only need 1 bank refill for that. So that's a little bit tempting there, isn't it? To get 300 profit instead of 235. And in this way, you can try and find a staking plan that fits your risk levels. Like if you're happy to refill the bank once, if the worst case scenario happens, or if you don't want any bankruptcy, then you can look for those, and then you can play around with the settings for these. So you can edit the settings for these, for the different staking plans, and be more or less aggressive. So actually the percentage one is betting 1% each time. Secure staking, I've got it betting to win 2%. fixed is betting to win 1%, but this is connected to the current bank. By using profit taking and Monte Carlo simulations, you can triple check your staking plans and be really, really sure about your betting plan. So if things go wrong next year, it's just really, really bad luck there, because you've done everything you can to make sure that you've made a good plan with your betting system. Another important thing is some people consider progressive staking plans like Fibonacci or recovery plans. And when you look at how much of a bank you have to risk to get those results, I think it's inefficient. Like if you applied that same bank to just level stakes or to percentage, you'd make much more money. It'd be more efficient and you'd have less of a heart attack. So it's a really good way to see what works for your betting system. And my name's Tom Whitaker. I wrote the Staking Plans book, and I researched and created Whitaker Staking. And the whole point of Whitaker Staking is it's good if you don't have any bet data. If you have no idea what kind of bets your betting system is going to have, if you don't know how it's going to perform, if you've just started following a new tipster, then just use Whitaker Staking. That's for me the safe option. Whitaker Staking bets more on lower odds and less on higher odds, so it's smart level stakes. Because even with level stakes, if your betting system has lots of low odds, then it's very inefficient with your bank because you could be betting more. But if your betting system has lots of high odds, you should be betting less, because level stakes probably won't cope with a 100-point bank. It might need a 200-point bank. But Whitaker Staking does all that for you. It looks at the odds and it bets more on low odds, which have a higher chance of winning, and it bets less on higher odds, which have a lower chance of winning. But this is if you have no bet data. If you do have bet data, then you really need to be using staking software like TSM and check the basic ones: level stakes, Whitaker Staking, secure staking, target profit staking, and but also have a look at the other custom staking plans and consider, for the possible profit, would you be willing to risk this amount of bank and this number of bank refills? So, you know, I'm all right with refilling my bank once or twice. So I might, anything that goes down to minus 200, I might even be okay with, if it will get me much more than level stakes or Whitaker stakes will offer me. Like this i-TSM plan, that's getting 500. That's doubling the profit there. But in the worst case scenario, in 1,000 shuffles, this was 1,000 shuffles, it only needed 2 bank refills. It did go bankrupt 51% of the time, and the average lowest trough was minus 6%. So, you know, it went bankrupt quite a lot of the time. But that's an interesting amount. And then you start to think, well, okay, so some betting systems with similar profits, some are much riskier. That's going to need 66 bank refills, but this one only needs 2 bank refills. So, you know, I don't think going bankrupt is always a bad thing. You know, if it's just dipping under or just needing 1 bank refill in the worst case scenario, and that's what TSM does. It gives you a great idea of, based on so many shuffles of past data, you know, how bad things got. So like I'd be staying away from this like Bookies Bank version 2, but Bookies Bank version 1 slightly more interesting. But all of these are based on my conservative settings of these staking plans, and you can start to push these staking plans and recheck your results and see if the risk to reward is acceptable for you. So I'd say, yeah, if you do have bet data, then run them through software like TSM, because a custom staking plan could improve your results. And you go into things with your eyes open of what the volatility is of your staking plan, how it performed in the last year or last few years. So it's really, really essential stuff. And that's very much why I put the staking machine in one of my top 3 essential betting tools. I use BF Bot Manager for automated betting, and I use the Betaminic Builder to backtest and research my betting systems and have lots of data. So I go into bets with my eyes wide open, and then I test my staking with the staking machine. These are 3 really, really essential tools, I think, in betting. Lots of other tools. If you look at my website, lots of other tools you can use as well. but these really are the top 3 that I recommend putting time into, getting used to, learning how they work. And you know, with betting, you can be spending hours in front of a computer on the weekend, and that's just no way to live. If you have a betting idea, write it down, how you would tell someone to use your betting system if you weren't there, and then program that into the BFBot manager, or ask me to help you program it. And using back-testing websites and databases like Betaminic, they really show you how statistics work, like, you know, how long losing runs are, what kind of yields you can expect, what you get from backing obvious favorites, and what you get from backing underdogs. It's a real eye-opener to statistics, and it can also give you a good feed of fixtures that you can create bots to bet based on those trigger strategies. And if you're considering using a betting system that you've researched new from Betaminic, you can plug that data into the staking machine. Or if you've got your own bots running, doing different betting systems, you can take that data and plug it into the staking machine. So it's a real essential set, if you ask me. And once you nail those, then you can think about using other tools as well if you want. And my services, I can teach you how to do all this stuff. I can show you how it's all done. I can help make you bots. I can give you coaching sessions. You can use my draw system. You can have my books. And if you want some really advanced solutions, I can help you with that too. So it's an essential tool. Let me show you how easy it is to import the data. So if you're importing data from a spreadsheet, from Excel, or a CSV file, so if you're keeping a log of your own bets in Excel or something, then all you need to do is save that spreadsheet as a CSV file. So for example, you're keeping a log of your bets, the results, the odds you bet on, and the profit. All TSM needs is all it needs to know are the odds and what the result was. That's the only thing it needs. It doesn't even need to know the day or the name or whatever happened or the profit. It just needs the odds you bet on and the result. That's all it needs. And if you're using Excel, you'd take the file and you would save it as a CSV file, comma delimited, a CSV file. That's what TSM needs to import them. So you save your file as a CSV file, and then you would close the file in Excel, because TSM cannot import files that are open. And then you just go to load file, load TSM CSV file, and you find that file that you created, click open, and then here it'll show you what the data it's found looks like. And we don't really care about this. We go to next, and it says it just needs to know the selection information, the odds data, and the win-lose string. But it doesn't, you know, the selection can be anything. That doesn't really matter. So the odds data here are in column 4. So I changed this to column 4. The win-lose string is in column 3. It's already at column 3. That's fine. I'm going to use the date as my selection information. I don't really care what the bet was. And you can add optional columns as well if you've got some other information you want to add in, but I don't really use it. And in my case, I have titles to my columns, so I tell it that it should start to import data from row 2. And then I click next, and it says this is the data we're going to bring in. Is this all right? You can go back if it's wrong. And here, I've already got data in here, so I'm going to replace the data in my main table and click finish, and ta-da, we get it. We get the data here, and we can see the result column is like loss, 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 win, win, win. And we need to tell TSM what my win-lose strings are. So in this case, the string, the text used for a win is win. So I just tell it is equal to win and click save. And now, anytime it sees win in this column, it will treat it as a win. And so with this data, we can now start to do our analysis and find out what the best staking plan for it was. So very simple. When you have a spreadsheet, save it as a CSV file, close the file, import the CSV file to TSM, select the columns with the selection name, odds, and win-lose string. And this next is important. Tell it, TSM, how to recognize your data's win-lose string. In this case, tell it a win is equal to win. So a win is equal to win. And then once you've done this one, you can now save it as a TSM file, so you don't have to do this loading next time. So once you've imported the data once, you can save it as a TSM file. And so next time you can just load directly from a TSM file and you won't have to do the sorting part. So very easy to load spreadsheet data into TSM. All you really need are the odds and a win-lose string. The selection name can be the date or whatever, it's not so important. Also, you can import data from external databases like Betaminic. So Betaminic has a lot of public strategies, and the public strategies, you can just click download, and you can download all of this strategy's past data. So this one has 979 bets, this has 1,500 bets, this has 3,585 bets, and we can download all those if we want. Once we have it downloaded as a CSV file, then we just import that file direct to TSM. And one thing to note with the data we're going to get from Betaminic is that this also has a win-loss column as well, which makes it very easy to import. In TSM again, I go to load a CSV file, and I find a file I've downloaded from Betaminic, click to open it, and we can see the same columns coming up here, click next. So again, it wants the selection information, I'm going to use the date, it wants odds data, so here the odds data are in column 12, so just type column 12, those are the closing odds from Pinnacle, and we need a win-lose string, that's in column 10. There we are. Just click next and click finish, and there we are, the odds data is there. And one reason I do like to use the date as the selection name, so I can just check if it's in order, and I can see that this is actually the wrong way around. It's starting with the new bets and it's going to old bets, so I can just go to data manipulation, click reverse sequence, and good, it's now in order. Brilliant. Just to double check, the win-lose string is equal to win, and that's win, no problem. So already it's set up, and we can compare that and find what staking plan works best for us. Very simple. So Betaminic data works really easily. Well, I've put here a win is equal to anything but -1. Not sure I've done that. But yeah, with proper Betaminic data, there is a win-lose string in the file, no problem there. Another thing you can do is import data from tipster websites. So maybe you're about to follow a tipster. A website I use is Tipping Sports, and on Tipping Sports you can see a lot of different tipsters, and you can view them all time, see who's doing the best, and you can take a tipster, look at their history, and you can download all their past tips. If you go to download tips history, just click and it will download there. And one thing we'll notice here with this data, there's no win-lose. There's no text that says win or lose. So we need to try something different for this. And for this, I use positive or negative numbers to tell me if it was a win or a lose. So for this, again, I will download the data. I will import the file straight to TSM. I can see that file in my downloads, open it up. I can see, and that's the data it's giving me. So we need selection information. I'm going to choose the start time, which is column 3. Odds data, that's column 8, no problem. But win-lose string, how do we know if it's a win or a loss? Well, this tipster bets 2 points on every bet. So if it loses, it's going to have -2. So I'm going to use this PL column, the profit loss column, as my win-lose string. So then I'm going to import that data, and I have to go to the win-lose string and tell it that a win is anything except -2. So where it says -2, that's a loss. And in this way, it's really easy to import this data from a tipster who is always using the same stake, because then you just enter that -2 as equaling a loss. And then again, we can do our analysis. Brilliant. So it's simple to do it, importing data from tipster sites too. The last thing I'm going to show you how to import is stuff from BFOP Manager. This is a little bit trickier. You have to go through a couple of steps to do this because there's no win-lose string, and stakes are not always -1 or -2 for losses. So we have to edit the data in a spreadsheet first, prepare it, and then import it. So what you would do in BF Bot Manager is to first export all or selected strategy bets. So in your BF Bot Manager, you can go to your bet screen and you can export bets. You can export all of them. Or if you want to analyze just one strategy, then you can just find and click on one particular strategy and it'll tell you, oh, this one won 9 out of 28 bets, so it's only 28 bets worth of data, 32% win rate. If you wanted, you could add in a few different strategies if you wanted to do that. Okay, so I've got 666 bets now. Oh, only 28 wins. What a terrible win rate. But I just want to show how we can get some extract bet data here. So I've selected a few strategies I want, and then I'm going to export bets. So I just click export bets here, and it's only going to export the ones I can see now of my selected strategies. So not every single bet, but just the bet history from the selected strategies I want. Give it a name and save it as a CSV file. Then you need to open a new blank Excel file. And then you don't open the file you just exported directly. You need to import that data into this Excel file. The reason we do this is because we're going to need to manipulate and transform the data. So we don't want to just open the file. So we open a new blank Excel file, so a blank worksheet, and you choose Data, Import Text CSV. Go to Data, Import from Text CSV, and find the file you want. So here, Data, and Import from Text CSV. And there we see the data I downloaded. I'm going to import that, and then it gives us this screen. And what you can see here is that some of the text is looking funny. There's some funny marks here. And this sometimes happens maybe when your computer is using different text to BF Bot Manager. It just happens. So the first thing we need to do is from file origin, you need to select a format that makes the numbers on the right appear correctly. For me, this is often Western European ISO. That's what often works for me. So the bit that says file origin, pick a different file origin so these numbers start to look normal. So here for me, now it's on Western European Windows. If I change that to ISO, oh, the numbers look nice now. But I know from experience that there's still some hidden spaces and odd characters in here. So I need to clean up this data a little bit more. So from this point, I click transform data, not load yet, but transform data. Got that? So step one is try and make these numbers look good by choosing the file format correctly, but then click transform data, not load, but transform data. Because then once we get into transform data, I'm going to try and clear up the PL, the profit loss column, because this is the most important thing I want to use. This is going to be my win-lose string. So I need to clean this up. So what we're going to do is we're going to find the profit loss column, which is currently a text column, and I don't want that. And I want to transform that initially by cleaning it up. And what cleaning it up does is remove some spaces and gaps and funny characters here that we can't quite see, but I know that they're there. So I click transform data, and if I scroll across the profit loss, this is currently a text column, and I don't want it to be a text column. I want it to be a decimal number. And it can't do that because it's confused by some stuff. There's some stuff in here that confuses it. So first thing I want to do is I want to transform it by cleaning it. I've cleaned it up. Doesn't look much different, but I know I've cleaned it. It says there. And then the next step after cleaning it, then we're going to change the type to a decimal number. And then it will successfully change it from text to a decimal number. And this is what I want. So my Excel file, right click, change type decimal number, boom, there we are. It has now changed it to decimal numbers. This is great, we're done. So then next I can click close and load, then click close and load. And then the data is all nicely here. And there is our profit and loss column with there's a lot of zeros in there from lapsed and unmatched bets. But we have some pluses and minuses there, and these can now be properly sorted. Once we've done that, the next thing we want to do is find the PL column and sort by size, because we want to find and delete all rows with 0 in the profit loss column. These could be unmatched or voided bets. And my eventual target is just to end up with profit and loss, so that negative numbers are losers and positive numbers are winners. So for the, we don't want the 0 ones. So first of all, I'm going to right click on the PL column and tell it to sort smallest to largest. Find the PL column and click, or left click, sort smallest to largest. Okay, it's got that in order there. And then I'm going to scan down. I'm going to find where the zeros begin, left click here, and I'm going to delete all these zeros. I don't want these. I don't need these for my analysis. Right click and delete. They're gone. Bye. And then we're left just with winners or losers. So once we've sorted, we find and delete all the rows with 0 in them, the unmatched or voided bets. Okay, and next I need to create my own win-lose column, because right now we have lots of pluses and minuses, and TSM just can't use plus and minus as a win-lose column. So I'm going to create my own win-lose column based on this data. So I will create a new column. So I find the column to the right of the profit and loss column, which is a strategy column. I'm going to right click the column header and select insert to add a new blank column. So I'm going to right click and click insert to add a new column. This is going to be my win-lose column. Then into this win-lose column, I'm going to type in this function. This is basically an if equation that says if this column on the left here, if this profit and loss column has a number that's smaller than 0, a minus number basically, it's a loser. If not, it's a winner. So if it's less than 0, it's a loser. If it's not that, it must be a winner. So it's going to have a, give it an L or a W. So this formula is at the bottom of this video. It's in the video description. You can copy and paste from there. You can also use this function button here and use the if button here and go if less than 0, W and L. No, if less than 0, W, L and W. You can do that as well. But I'm just going to paste in here that stuff. Get rid of those question marks. And then magically we have our win-lose string here. And then this is what TSM can use to look for the win or losing. Once you've done that, you want to find the place date column and resort the bets into time order again from oldest to newest. So yeah, find the place date, left click here and sort from oldest to newest. Where is it? Place to date, left click, sort oldest to newest. Great. And now it's all in the right order for me. And then we need to save this as a CSV file, and that's ready to import into TSM. And we can use WL column as the win-lose string. So it needs a little bit of effort, but once you learn how to do it, it's not that difficult. We just need to create our own win-lose string. So save it as a comma delimited file, and it'll say it can't support multiple sheets. That's fine, we don't care. Save it, and then close that file. Then back in TSM, we can import that. And you will see some funny columns. So these other columns we haven't cleaned up, you see, and it can't read them well. But that doesn't matter because we just need the win-lose and the odds, which we use the average odds column for. That's all we need. So go to next. I want to use the match date as my selection name. I want to use the average odds. Average price match, that's going to be the odds, and the win-lose string is that column I made, which is column 10. And then I can click next, replace the data in the main table, and we get our data here. Brilliant. And that is how you can import BFBot Manager data. I know some people have struggled with that, so hopefully this video makes it more obvious how to do that. So for BFBot Manager data, you can export all or selected strategy bets. Probably most people will just export selected strategy bets. And remember to open a new blank Excel file and import that data into that new file. Don't open the file directly, import the data into it as text or CSV. And then once you've imported it, first change the file origin to clean up the numbers slightly so they look like numbers. Then click Transform Data. Once you've entered into the transform data form, find the PL column and first clean it up. Click transform and clean. Once you've done that, click on the column again and change the type to a decimal number. Once you've done that, you can close and load. Once you're into the data file, find the PL column, sort it from smallest to largest, and delete all the rows with 0 in the column. We don't need these, they're unmatched or void bets. Then insert a new column and add this if function equals if brackets L2, that's L column row 2 is less than 0, comma, inverted commas L, inverted commas, comma, inverted commas W, inverted commas, bracket, and that's what you need. And this is in the video description if you want to copy and paste from there, but basically it's a if function saying if this cell is less than 0, it's a loser, and if this cell is not a loser, it's a winner, LW. Okay, and that's what it's doing. Then find the play state column and order it from oldest to newest, save it as a CSV file, and it's ready to import to TSM. Once you import it to TSM, make sure you change the win-lose string so that a win is equal to W, and then we will be able to analyze the data and then save that file as a TSM file for easy loading next time. So you can import bet data from spreadsheets, external databases, betting software or tipster sites into the staking machine. And the staking machine really is amazing software. I would say essential software if you're serious about betting. If you have bet data, then run it through the staking machine and see which staking plan works best for you. The link to the staking machine is in the description to this video. And if you go to my website, thebettingsystemsguide.com, you can read more about the staking machine, about Whitaker staking and staking plans. And if you have questions about the staking machine or how to import data into it, then please give me an email to bettingsystemsguide@gmail.com. Thank you for watching. Interested in big data betting? Don't forget to like and subscribe for more videos like this. And check out Betaminic's big data betting research database that has historical odds and football statistics. If you're looking for betting system recommendations, then come to my website bettingsystemsguide.com, where you can get both manual and automated betting bot systems. You can read more about betting systems in my books, find verified winning tipsters at tippingsports.com, and automate your betting with the BF Bot Manager software. Visit my website for more information. Thanks for watching.